Welcome to Be Healthy in a Hurry with Dr. Wayne, the Mango Man Pickering, myself, Betty Norland, and Buddy Lee, who is working on some other projects this season and hopes to be back with us next season. And so we're closing out the tenacity season in today's show. And what we want to do with that is we want to look at both some affirmations and some closing comments. And so, Dr. Wayne, I would like to start out by asking you what your method is and what you recommend as far as positive affirmations to help the miraculous results that we talk about become a reality.
Thank you, Betty. Oh, it's so good to be back with you again. This is the one that I use consistently. I can give in and I can give out, but I can't give up.
I love it.
All the stories, Betty, that I have read over the years about the people who have cancer and that were supposed to die that decided to go ahead and check out a bunch of audios and videos on how they actually laughed their way back to health and rid themselves of all of these components that we've shared with you on our Be Healthy in a Hurry series have all of that in there for you. But you can give in and you can give out, but never give up. Back to you, Betty.
Mm. And so, one of the people that I've probably admired most in this world is a prime example of that. And I'm sure many people know the name and also have heard the story, but I'm going to recap that. And again, I've looked at so many websites. I do apologize that I probably don't have the right website, but everyone knows her name. Just like Cheers, everybody knows your name. Her name is synonymous with talk shows and networks and all sorts of great stuff. She is the queen of television talk shows and the richest woman in the world, at least at the time this was written, Oprah Winfrey. She overcame tragic tribulation in her life to achieve success. And I remember when I was first starting out as a young adult, I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be a talk show host. I wanted to meet her. I wanted to get to know her. And I've watched her through the years and I've watched how many people she's blessed and all the positive messages that she has shared. And she grew up in Milwaukee and her family was so poor that sometimes she would wear sacks as clothing. She was abused by a member of her family and she ran away at 14. She delivered a baby boy who died after birth. She didn't give up. She went to public schools and she excelled with the assistance of scholarships. She went on to attend college and major in journalism. One thing led to another, and now she's in charge of a media empire that's worth $2.9 billion, maybe at this point, maybe more. And so, Dr. Wayne, when you talk about not giving up, to me, Oprah is like at least in my world, the prime example of that. And I think all of us have a choice every day, every moment, and every experience of how we're going to react to what happens in our life. We always have a choice of how we're going to respond. Back to you, Dr. Wayne.
Oh, Betty, that is so, so true. You know, I have four different CD series. I'm glad you brought Oprah up. She, I forgot the names of these. They're out in my computer in another room, but I listen to them consistently. I have all of my grateful list, my to do list, my, oh gosh, so many positive things that I put them all in a playlist. I click that button and I'll have about 20 to 30 hours that would just play just the most positive things. And then music is interacted with in between. But what you said about Oprah is so true. I was shocked at what she went through to get to where she is now to help as many people as she does. And when I saw her on her 25th anniversary video of the TV shows that she was doing, wow, when she was in South Africa with all those kids and everything, it was so great. But we have to think about this. There's no authority is higher than reality. Truth is not a matter of your personal viewpoint. Learn to see things as they really are and not as you imagine they are. You will only be healthy when you do healthy things. That's just the deal. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or who says it. And no matter what you believe, it never changes the fact. And the facts always speaks for themselves. Truth does not change because it is or is not believed by the majority of the people, everybody. If 40 million people believe in a foolish thing, it's still a foolish thing. And the sky is not less blue because a blind man doesn't see it. So, all in all, beliefs will only be beliefs as long as there are people out there to believe them. And truth will always be truth, whether we believe it or not. And here's the truth about our health. When you go to healthatlast.com, that's one of our 28 websites. We had Jack LaLanne on there. I've got so many other physicians that we've interviewed and everything. And there was so many lessons that I've learned from all of these great medical doctors, different other celebrities that we've had. And I've summarized our health down into these three things. And you can bank on this when it comes to your health. You never catch disease, you earn it. Keep your immune system up as much as you can. And the stronger the challenge that might be facing us, let's say COVID and all of that, the more you tenacious you have to be with implementing the conditions of health so that you can keep as much of that at bay as you can. I told the audience, never treat disease, beat disease. And you only get well. Here's the second one that I've learned from so many reputable people in the world. When Jack LaLanne and I were talking, he totally agreed with this. Pardon me, you only get well by what comes out of you, never by what goes into you. And you will never drug yourself into health. I can still remember Jack when he was doing that. Bless his heart, when he was commenting on that. That's he said, you know, Dr. Wayne, he said that's just how it is. And here's the third lesson: you're already healthy automatically by design. So keep these components of being totally healthy in order. And here's a little piece of wisdom on that: the odds are with you if you try. And persistence, that's you keep trying, is the rule that you got to follow to
Dr.
become
Wayne,
success. Hmm.
can you start with, I think you said wisdom again, you bleeped out for a minute.
Okay. And here's a little piece of wisdom for you: the odds are with you if you try. Persistence, we've got to keep trying, is the rule. And Betty said it a little while ago, and it was brilliantly said and presented. You've got to keep your mind in the direction that you need to go. Look at like when Oprah was raped a few times and all of these other things that when I was reading and listening to her audio programs and reading some of her material, because she is extremely successful and really went through some incredibly challenging times. So never, 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 never give up. If you keep on trying, the odds are with you. Endurance is the crowning success, a quality of success, I should say. So here's what why I tell you all this. If you don't want any of those things to happen in your life, and this is what's going to happen, that if you're like getting drunk all the time, or you're smoking, or you're doing all those other things that we really shouldn't be embracing in our lives, you will cut all this chances of diminishing your like your longevity. I don't. We're all on the road to death. There's just no need to jump in the passing lane. So, but reward yourself with great things, everybody. I tell my audience, listen, why are you polishing those beautiful chinaware and leaving them in there to get more dust and you got to come in and do it? I say, drink out of your best chinaware. When people come here and I feed them the best food, I put them in these solid crystal glasses that they have, and just great. So drink out of your best chinaware, use your best silverware, wear your best clothes as often as you can, eat the best food, and treat yourself to great things. As soon, pretty soon this is all going to be over. But more importantly, it's better to try something and fail than to try nothing and succeed. So take care of your health, as without it, you're toast. So when I come back, Betty, I'd love to share a little wisdom here with you on the life in itself. But I know you've got some comments, and you're always so good about that. Thank you.
Oh, of course I do. Thank you, Dr. Wade. So another person in more recent times that's really her story has really inspired me. And so as we talk about tenacity and as we close out the season, um, you and maybe your kids have read the Harry Potter books, okay, and gone to the Hogwarts universe. But this is what J.K. Rowling had in her earlier years. She was so poor that she had to depend on welfare. She was divorced. She was depressed. She was taking care of a child. And then when she wrote this book and she submitted it, she was rejected 12 different times by publishers. And eventually it turned around and she's become one of the richest women in the world. And so you never know where life is going to take you. You never know what's around the next corner. We can plan, we can project, we can dream, we can put things into action, but the having the grit to persevere, you just never know where it's going to take you, what road it's going to take you on, what trip it's going to take you on. And so what you really want to do is you want to embrace the moment, like embrace the now, like give now your best time and energy and your best self. Because by giving your best self to every moment, wow, the moments, they lead to the most amazing places. So, Dr. Wayne, back to you. And I don't know if you have any closing comments or if that's kind of stuff you've already shared, but I will have one more share after you're finished.
Let me tell you, what you're sharing there, Betty, is so beautiful, and it's so true what you're doing. Do you know that there is no? Here's some wisdom for this episode here in our conclusion on our tenacity series. Did you know that there's no shred of evidence whatsoever to support the notion that we're here in this world to be either sick, fat, miserable, or broke? And if we find ourselves in one or more of those situations, it's because we've done enough of the wrong things right.
Yeah, true.
You know, you know what I mean? So I encourage you to appreciate the miracle of the wonderful you. Do you know that, Betty? I just discovered this. I didn't know this in all my years. Do you know that the length of both of your arms stretch out when they're stretched out? You know, you take one arm and you put the other arm, that is the length of your whole body.
You know, Dr. Ren, I got to tell you something. So when I learned about the golden ratio, and I talk a lot about the Vitruvian man, and I do this in my book and in my classes and in the membership site that I am preparing that'll be ready by the end of the year. Yes, I do know that, and I do teach that, and it is amazing. And our bodies are such an amazing creation and vehicle, and there's so much in it that ties to nature that people don't know about. And I'm so excited to be finishing up this next phase of my program and being able to offer these membership sites. But yes, thank you. And I did know that, and I was surprised when I first learned it, but so many people don't know it. So thank you for sharing it.
Oh, yes. And you know, to appreciate that miracle of the wonderful you, here's a great noon recipe as you know, so yet you can actually do enough of the right things right and not the wrong things right. So I call it my potato puree with pizzazz.
I like
Potato
it.
puree with pizzazz. Now, this recipe is a terrific recipe, and it's an incredible way to alkalize your body. Being too acid will make you prone to all kinds of diseases, and so stress worry, junky food, junky water, junky air, junk this, those will create a very acidic environment in your body, which will lean you more to, or let's say you'll be more prone to all kinds of disease. So let's take that potato puree with pizzazz. And here are the ingredients. Take a pound of potatoes, washed and cut up, 2 cups of distilled water, 1 cup of sweet onions chopped, equal parts of oregano, basil, and thyme for the taste, 1 avocado, and some whole grain pasta. Now, how do you put this together? Steam the potatoes, the onions, and the oregano, basil, and thyme until tender in the distilled water. Place the cooked potato mixture, including the water and avocado, in a high-powered blender and blend for 30 seconds. You can use this puree instead of a cream sauce over pasta. And when I cook pasta, I always steam a pot of vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, string beans, and carrots, and whatever. And I toss this with a little olive oil and place over the top of the mixed pasta and potato puree. You can also use this potato puree as a dip for your favorite toasted whole grain breads. And one of my favorites is using it as as a soup, topped with those shredded carrots and garnished with the basil. There's so much that you can do with the what you have available if you just get your creative juices going. And a good line to keep in mind: people only want what they want when the want is more than the effort. We're trying to make this whole process of you being healthy and enjoying recipes for the long haul so simple and so easy that you just actually, when you get going with it, you're going to say, well, why didn't I do this sooner? If you go to mangomanrecipes.com, there is a CD-ROM in there that's got our 400 monthly recipes in there, and also the ones that you can eat out when you're dining out, and all the holiday recipes as well. And there's 139 of our articles in there that are all about combating stress, your problems with your health, many other things. Okay, but take care of you now, because man, sooner or later you're going to be wishing you had it. I'll tell you. But back to you, Betty, and it's always a delight to work with you, darling. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wayne. And when you talked about our bodies being acidic and that a lot of disease happens in an acidic body, I learned that 20 or 30 years ago. And I never knew that. I'd never heard that. I was surprised. But as I learned about the natural healing power within the body, and as I learned about the optimal order within the body, one of the things I learned is that when there's a yellowish film over your iris, that can indicate that there's more acid in your body. And I've seen reports over the 30 years that says sometimes 90 to 95% of disease happens in an acidic body. So one of the things that I've learned in the natural healing area is by alkalizing your body and having the proper balance, that can help reduce the opportunity for disease, or it can help in the healing power. And the alkalization, a lot of times that's a lot of the green vegetables and staying away from processed foods and things like that. But I also, you talk about when the want is greater than, I forget how you say it, but that's what drives you.
Yeah, people only want what they want when the want is more than the effort.
Got it. Okay. So I want to share about one of my mentors, and I have several. And this particular person came into my life. I'm sitting there at a National Speakers Association conference, and actually a few days before the conference, and I'm praying or talking to God, or thinking it through in my mind, however you want to say it. And I'm like, I need a mentor. I need somebody that can take me to the next level. And then at this conference within the next week, Clint Arthur and his wife Allie show up. Now, Clint is a pretty amazing man. And for those people that know him, I believe you are probably as impressed with him as I am. But his short story is he went out to California to get into the movies. It didn't work out and he drove a cab. He had gone to the Wharton School of Business. And so he's sitting here thinking, wait, I've got people I've graduated with that are doing good. What am I doing a cab? And so that was 20, 30 years ago. And so he has created, he's a multi-million or he's $1 million like he does fantastic with speaking, but he's created a business and he helps people to really connect with others. And he's interviewed some of the most amazing celebrities and the most amazing people. And he just came out with a book called Wisdom of the Men, where he captures a lot of their stories. I mean, it just came out. He was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize, which is really cool because his writing teacher way back when had been nominated. So it's such an honor for him. And I guess where I want to bring this back to with tenacity is Clint always saw more than sometimes what his life, how things were showing up in his life. He always saw the next level. He always saw the next step. And as such, he's been able to step into an amazing life and amazing experiences because he just always kept going forward. And now he's sharing that wisdom with so many people that he's met and interviewed throughout the years. So his book is Wisdom of the Men. And I just wanted to share that because to me, he is a very strong and firm example of tenacity. As we close up, Dr. Wayne, you said something earlier that if a blind man said the sky is not blue, that doesn't mean the sky is not blue. It just means that he maybe isn't seeing it the way we might see it. And one of the stories, when COVID hit, I did a lot of virtual teaching because I'm also a teacher over about a year and a half. And one of the things I did all of last year, I think, or the year before, but I played the music video by Pharrell Williams, Happy, every single day because I knew that I needed to lift the energy and the spirit and the joy and give some stability to the kids as they were going through a crazy time around them. And one of the stories that I thought was really special, an upstate New York camp for deaf children created an amazing music video. Now, you wouldn't think about a music video created by deaf children, but they did it for Pharrell Williams' Happy. And the campers and the staff, they used sign language, they used dance, and they used emotion to carry the tune. And so even audience, when you see a limitation, it's not a limitation unless you believe it's a limitation. So what are your beliefs? And is it time to change any of them? So Dr. Wayne, do you have any quotes to close us out?
Yes, I'll say this. Nobody likes change except a wet baby. And we've got to want this so much. And your story there, Betty, was great. Thank you. And I'll see you on the next episode.
That's great. And I'm going to share a quote, but it's really similar. And I've seen Theodore Roosevelt and I've seen Abraham Lincoln both given credit. So I don't know who said it, but when you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on. When you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on. And so, folks, if you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on and see where tomorrow takes you.